My girlfriend rolled her eyes and said, "You're not my father. I don't need a curfew," after coming home at dawn. I said, "I know." The next night, the door was deadbolt with a note taped to it. What the note said left her panicking. I, 29M, never thought I'd be the type of guy to deadbolt someone out of their own home. But life has a funny way of pushing you past your breaking point. It started 6 months ago when she moved in with me. The apartment was mine. I'd been paying rent for 3 years, had my name on the lease, bought all the furniture. She contributed groceries sometimes and split utilities, which seemed fair since she was between jobs. What I didn't expect was how quickly my peaceful sanctuary would turn into a revolving door of drama. The first few weeks were perfect. We'd cook dinner together, binge-watch shows, talk about our future. I thought I'd found someone who actually wanted to build something real with me. Then her old college friends started visiting from out of town. Suddenly, girls' nights became a weekly occurrence. Weekly became twice a week. Twice a week became whenever she felt like it. I'm not controlling, at least I didn't think I was. I work construction, so I'm up at 5 a.m. every morning. When someone stumbles in at 3 a.m., slamming doors and dropping keys, it affects my sleep and my job performance. I tried talking to her about it reasonably. I explained that I needed to function the next day, that maybe she could text me when she was heading home so I wouldn't worry. She brushed me off, saying I was being paranoid and that she was an adult who didn't need to check in with anyone. Last Thursday was the breaking point. I heard her key in the lock at 5:47 a.m. I know because I'd been lying awake since 2 a.m., alternating between worry and anger. She stumbled in, reeking of alcohol and cigarettes, makeup smeared, dress wrinkled like she'd slept in it somewhere. I asked her where she'd been all night. She told me she'd been at her friend's place, that they'd lost track of time. I asked why she couldn't answer her phone. I'd called 4 times after midnight. She said her phone died. Then I made the mistake of suggesting maybe she should let me know when she'd be out all night, just so I wouldn't worry. That's when she rolled her eyes with that look of pure disdain and said I wasn't her father and didn't need to give her a curfew. Something cold settled in my chest when she said that. I looked at her, really looked at her, standing there in my living room, using my electricity, about to crash in my bed, telling me I had no right to expect basic consideration in my own home. That's when I said it. I know. The simplicity of those 2 words seemed to catch her off guard. She stared at me for a moment, probably expecting an argument, but I just turned and went to the kitchen to make coffee. I had work in 3 hours. Friday night, she announced she was going out again. I nodded and wished her a good time. She seemed surprised by my lack of resistance, but I could see the relief in her eyes. She kissed my cheek and promised she wouldn't be too late. I waited until I heard her car pull out of the driveway. Then I got to work. The deadbolt was easy. I'd been meaning to install extra security anyway. The note took more thought. I sat at my kitchen table with a pad of paper, writing and rewriting until I found the right words. Nothing dramatic or emotional, just facts. She came home at 4:15 a.m. Saturday morning. I was already awake, listening from my bedroom as she tried her key. The confusion in her voice as she jiggled the handle was almost comical. Then came the knocking, soft at first, then increasingly frantic. I heard her call my name through the door, asking what was wrong with the lock. Then she found the note. The silence that followed stretched for nearly 5 minutes. When the pounding started again, it was desperate. She was calling my name, saying we needed to talk, asking me to open the door. Her voice cracked when she realized I wasn't going to respond. The note was simple. Since you're not my daughter and don't need to follow household rules, you're also not my tenant and don't need to live here. Your belongings will be packed and ready for pickup tomorrow evening. The lease ends in my name only. I heard her crying through the door, begging me to let her explain. She said she was sorry, that she didn't mean what she'd said about the curfew thing. She promised things would change. But it wasn't really about the curfew, and we both knew it. Saturday morning, I texted her to let her know I'd pack her things and leave them with the building manager. I told her she had until Sunday evening to collect them, after which they'd be donated. She showed up at my job site Monday morning. My coworkers watched as she approached me during my lunch break, mascara already running down her face. She told me she'd been staying with friends, that she understood why I was upset, that we could work through this. I asked her why she thought I'd want to work through anything with someone who had so little respect for me that she'd stay out all night in our shared home without a word of consideration. She tried to explain that she felt suffocated, that she needed space to be herself. I told her she had all the space she needed now. What really sealed it for me was what she said next. She asked if this was really about her coming home late, or if I was just looking for an excuse to break up with her. The question revealed everything. She genuinely believed that basic consideration and communication in a relationship was too much to ask. I told her it was about respect, and that she'd made it clear she had none for me or our relationship. She started crying harder, saying she loved me and would do anything to fix this. But love without respect is just manipulation dressed up in prettier words. The final twist came Tuesday evening. My building manager called to tell me she'd never picked up her belongings. When I went to check, everything was gone. She'd apparently convinced him she still lived there and needed to get her things while I was at work. What she didn't know was that I'd removed everything valuable first: her laptop, jewelry, the expensive camera she'd bought with her last tax refund. Those items were safely stored at my brother's house. She texted me Wednesday morning asking about her missing belongings. I told her they were in the donated items, as promised. She called me cruel and vindictive, threatening to involve the police. I reminded her that she'd had until Sunday to collect her things and had chosen not to. Her threats were empty anyway. She had no legal claim to anything in my apartment, and she'd essentially stolen what she did take by lying to the building manager. Update 1. She contacted me through social media Friday night, creating fake accounts after I blocked her main ones. She was posting about how I'd stolen her belongings and kicked her out without warning. What she wasn't mentioning was the months of disrespect or the fact that she'd chosen to stay out all night in a home where someone else paid the bills. I screenshotted her threats and saved them, just in case. But mostly, I felt relief. The apartment was quiet again. I could sleep through the night. I wasn't walking on eggshells, wondering what mood she'd be in or whether she'd come home. My brother asked if I felt bad about the way things ended. I told him I felt bad that it took me so long to realize that someone who doesn't respect your basic needs doesn't deserve access to your life. Update 2. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my apartment with a guy I'd never seen before. They were both drunk, demanding her belongings back. I called the police from inside and waited. When the officers arrived, they explained to her that she had no legal right to be there and that I had every right to secure my own property. The real kicker? She'd apparently been telling people, including this new guy, that we were just taking a break and that I was holding her stuff hostage to force her back. After the police left, I realized I'd dodged a massive bullet. Someone who lies that easily to new people in her life would have eventually brought that same energy to more serious situations. I'm not proud of the way I handled it. The deadbolt was petty, and I know it. But sometimes petty is the only language people understand. She wanted to treat my home like a hotel where she could come and go without consideration. I simply removed her access to the amenities. The best part? I'm sleeping through the night again. No more wondering where she is or when she'll stumble in. No more walking on eggshells about expressing basic needs. No more feeling like a stranger in my own home. 6 months later, I still think about whether I was too harsh. Then I remember her face when she said I wasn't her father, the dismissive eye roll, the complete lack of consideration for the person providing her with shelter and stability. Some people will push boundaries until they find your breaking point. I found mine at 5:47 a.m. on a Thursday morning, and I'm grateful for it. It showed me exactly what I'm worth to myself, and it's more than someone who thinks basic respect is optional. The apartment is still mine. The lease is still in my name, and my sleep schedule has never been better. She can roll her eyes at someone else's reasonable requests now.